Welcome to Patscast. I'm Brad Whitaker. Today was the annual Tuesday interview with Patriots owner Robert Kraft at the NFL owners meetings, and it's hard to tell if Kraft really understands the state of the Patriots at the moment. Is he being realistic? Is he being delusional? He's certainly being optimistic, which Kraft was willing to acknowledge that that's basically his MO. He's always very optimistic heading into the season, but he did say his expectation is for the New England Patriots to make the playoffs this season. We'll see. He did later emphasize the importance of being patient and said he hopes the team doesn't struggle. In fact, he said that like 2 or 3 times. I really hope the team doesn't struggle. So it's kind of hard to be optimistic when he says things like that. A lot of contradictory statements coming from Robert Kraft, very similar to Gerard Mayo, the new head coach of the Patriots, in his interview yesterday at breakfast where he spilled orange juice on himself. Basically, Gerard Mayo watched the podcast yesterday, said about everything. Everything is on the table. We might do this, we might do that. Really, there was nothing consistent that came from Mayo. Looked like a guy who was throwing word salads out there and is certainly new to being interviewed by reporters and is trying to schmooze them a lot more than an NFL head coach typically would. Certainly relative to Bill Belichick, offering more information to the media than Belichick ever did in his 20-plus year history with the New England Patriots as head coach and general manager. And Robert Kraft certainly had his contradictions there as well. But I think it is important to note that Kraft has slowly downgraded his expectations for the Patriots every year at these NFL owners meetings since Tom Brady left the team. During Cam Newton and Mac Jones's rookie year, he said he expected the Patriots to be a contender for the Super Bowl, which did not seem realistic at all. Then in year 2 with Mac Jones, he says he expects the Patriots to win a playoff game. He's very disappointed. They hadn't done so since the 2018-19 season NFL playoffs. And then last year, same as this year, the expectation was he wants the Patriots to make the postseason. So what will next year be? To win 6 games? We'll see if he keeps downgrading his expectations. But he is optimistic, however, and made a lot of points here. Says he doesn't expect the team to have a high draft pick like they do this season at number 3 overall. He doesn't expect them to be in this situation again in the future. This is the earliest they've drafted since Kraft took over the team, and they had the number 4 draft pick and brought in Willie McGinnis. Spoke very glowingly about de facto GM Elliott Wolf and Matt Groh's ability to make the decisions in the front office. Said those guys did not have much of a voice under Bill Belichick and is encouraging them and the rest of the front office, the coaching staff, to speak up more and be more collaborative. Also spoke very glowingly about new head coach Gerard Mayo, new offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, and the rest of the coaching staff, and expects there to be major improvements there despite the team losing Bill Belichick. He spoke to their ability to be more accommodating to young players, recognized the league has been changing a lot in the last 10 to 15 years, and thinks this new regime will communicate a lot better, and as a result, they will win more football games. We will see. Also said he was happy about the offseason so far, which is certainly different than most Patriots fans feel, as it's been very underwhelming, bringing a lot of the same players back and then not making really any big splashes in free agency unless you consider Antonio Gibson and Austin Hooper a big splash. I like those guys, but certainly Calvin Ridley would have changed that a little bit more. But he did say he's been telling Elliott Wolf, Matt Groh, Gerard Mayo, like, don't be signing players and making big splashes for the sake of headlines. Do what's best for the team, both in the short term and the long term. And he actually addressed the Calvin Ridley situation as well. And he said it wasn't so much financial. And then he went on to talk about Massachusetts state taxes. So I think it was a little financial. I don't think that was entirely accurate. But he said the main reason Calvin Ridley didn't want to come to the Patriots, besides the money and the quarterback situation, was his girlfriend wanted to stay in the South. I'm not sure. I mean, I think if the Patriots were willing to throw 26, 27, 28 million at Ridley, which in my opinion would have been a major mistake, he would have been forced to go to the Patriots, but that's not what happened. It doesn't sound like they were willing to go above $23 million, which is what the Tennessee Titans offered him. I think that is way too much to offer a guy like Calvin Ridley, who's like the 30th best receiver in the NFL. So I'm not really disagreeing with Robert Kraft that, like, don't do anything stupid. Don't make any splashes for the sake of making headlines, even if it makes the fans happy in the short term. I'm actually kind of happy with what the Patriots have done this offseason. I would have liked them to get Tyron Smith. I would have liked them to trade for Mike Evans. I think a fourth rounder would have been just fine, but the Bears made that deal. Maybe Allen had some input on where he wanted to go, and that's why that happened. We don't really know what went on behind the scenes. Would have liked them to go after Mike Williams, but he obviously wanted to play with Aaron Rodgers, who on paper that team should be a Super Bowl contender, the New York Jets, even though I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to be banged up. Tyron Smith's going to play just a few games, and we'll see if Aaron Rodgers is actually healthy. Now, Robert Kraft actually went on to address the NFL Players Association report card that came out about a month ago, which did not have kind things to say about ownership, the Patriots organization as a whole, how the players felt there. But Kraft said they are making major changes to address that. But he acted kind of ignorant about these report cards, even though they started coming out last year, and he did not address it then. I think he was lying a little bit there, if I'm being honest. But he did say the team is building a new $50 million practice facility adjacent to the stadium. Now, these practice facilities tend to cost a lot more than that, so I don't know how much of an improvement that's going to be. I mean, it sounds like they're going to use the same outdoor practice fields and then have just kind of an indoor facility with state-of-the-art equipment and make it a little bit easier for the players there. That's going to be a little bit more attractive to free agents down the road. But I was expecting a higher number than $50 million for that type of facility, but we'll see. It sounds like they're going to utilize a lot of the existing facilities, but then do a lot more in terms of offices, indoor practice facility, weight room, equipment, all that stuff. So maybe $50 million is more than enough for that type of thing. And he also expects the Patriots to be able to quickly fix the daycare situation, which Robert Kraft said he was also ignorant about, which kind of surprises me. I'm not sure that is accurate, but that should be a quick fix. There's lots of conference rooms at these NFL stadiums. It's pretty easy to assign one to something like daycare. They should be able to fix that this coming season. Also, Robert Kraft was asked questions about the Apple TV Plus documentary series, The Dynasty, and he said that he enjoyed the first 3 episodes, reliving the initial Super Bowl victories. Didn't like the rest of it, though, saying that they decided to focus more on the challenging situations the Patriots organization has gone through in the last 10 to 15 years. Despite lots of interview hours with lots of these players, we saw McCourty, Rodney Harrison, they were in an interview for many hours, and they said they only pulled the negatives out of what we said when we really spent 5-6 hours focusing on the positives, and Robert Kraft acknowledged that. Now, Kraft did play kind of a major role in this docuseries. His name is at the bottom at the very end, as I don't know if it was as an executive producer, like it said like Kraft Productions or something like that. So I don't know how much of a say he had in this, but he did take issue with it being kind of a Bill Belichick hit piece, particularly in the last 5 or 6 episodes, really going after him over the Aaron Hernandez situation, spending a lot of time on Malcolm Butler and how Kraft chose Belichick over Brady. And Kraft was not happy. He wished they had focused more on the positives there, but definitely was doing a lot of PR here, trying to clean up the outcomes of that docuseries, and also talked about how he hopes to have a Hall of Fame ceremony for Bill Belichick in the same way they are doing for Tom Brady on June 12th of this year, really trying to repair that relationship. We'll see. I don't even know if Belichick's going to show up to the Brady ceremony. That's certainly going to be a topic in the coming months. So we'll see how that plays out. You hope that they can repair that relationship in the same way that Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson have been able to in Dallas, at least when they're public facing. We'll see what happens there. But overall, Robert Kraft said a lot. It was about a 20-minute interview. Go check it out on the New England Patriots YouTube channel. Uploaded the entire interview for folks to see. So go check it out and tell me what you think in the comments below. Was Robert Kraft pleading ignorance in situations where he probably knew a lot more. Let me know if you agree that is basically my assessment. If you agree with me in the comments below, or do you take him at his words? I'm curious to hear from you. Now, the NFL, in other news, is embracing a new kickoff rule. I spent last season, this past year, working for an XFL team here in San Antonio, and the XFL kickoff, now they're the UFL, was very new to me as well. And I got to say, it looked a little weird the first time I saw it. It's going to take a lot for us to, as fans, to see this at the NFL level. It looks strange because basically the way it works, both teams on kickoffs line up downfield about 5 yards apart from one another, and they cannot move until the ball lands inside the 20 or is caught. Like I said, it looks very strange, but when you actually see it play out over a number of games, you'll realize that this new rule is much preferable to the old rule. Not just because it cuts down on injuries, like that's important, but mainly because it prevents kickers from kicking the ball into the end zone as they often do. I mean, that still may happen, but for the most part, you'll see that this type of rule might actually create more touchdowns and more exciting action. Yes, it's not players running downfield at full speed, but what ends up happening is because there's less depth with players on special teams, it's like a single line Red Rover situation where if the kick returner can break through the opposing team very quickly, they can run downfield and get a touchdown, or they can gain a lot more yards, and then offenses won't be starting at the 20-25. They'll often be starting at the 35, 40-yard line of the opposing team, and will have less field to work with and able to patch together touchdown drives a lot easier. I think you'll like it. If you're not used to it, go watch some of the XFL highlights from this past season. The UFL season kicks off this coming weekend, so that kicking rule will be embraced there. So tune into those games as well. And you'll see that, yeah, it looks strange, but once you get used to it, you really won't notice much of a difference in terms of the way it plays out, but you'll see a lot more return teams getting touchdowns, getting better field position, and teams also can work in different ways in the way they line up their personnel after the ball is caught. So it's very, very different, but I think ultimately after we go through this adjustment period, we will see kind of a revolution in the way special teams approach this new rule. But let me know, go back and watch some of these XFL clips. Do you like this new kickoff rule, or do you think, as Jabril Pepper said on X today, that this is just the league continuing to go soft and be weak? And, they banned the hip drop tackle. They've done a lot of things. Do you see this as part of that, or do you think this is going to make the game a little bit more exciting, as I do? I'm curious to hear from you. Be sure to, if you're watching on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to this channel. Love all the engagement lately. This channel's really growing, getting lots of views, lots of watch hours, and I really cannot thank you more for that. I'm just above. I'm on cloud 9 over the way this channel has been able to grow over the last couple of weeks. Thanks to your support. So be sure to subscribe to this channel on YouTube, or subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. Looking forward to more PatsCast episodes in the coming days and weeks. We'll be here to cover breaking news. Also plan to talk a little bit more about the draft as it gets closer. The J.J. McCarthy situation is getting very interesting, and I'm certainly planning to do a podcast episode on that in the near future. Not only do the Patriots seem to be a bit more interested in J.J. McCarthy after his stellar pro day at the University of Michigan this past Friday, but the Washington Commanders are considering taking him at number 2 overall. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero actually says he thinks that is the likely scenario, which means the Patriots would get to pick and choose between Drake May and Jaden Daniels if indeed they want to select a quarterback at number 3 overall. Going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Also plan to talk a little bit more about Bailey Zappi. What's going on with him? Is he still going to be on the roster? You can look forward to that. I think he actually has a shot at getting some playing time this season, particularly if they want to sit the new rookie quarterback, and Jacoby Brissett is not who we think he might be. I think that is going to be an interesting discussion, so you can look forward to that. Again, like this video, subscribe to the channel, or subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, and we'll be back with more Patriots coverage and breaking news as it comes out.